Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 20 in the book of First Peter. I'm going to title today, When Delivered Not from Evil. When Delivered Not from Evil. So we're in a section in First Peter chapter 3 now, where Peter is telling his people what to do when times are tough. And he basically says, as we've talked about in this podcast, I hope you suffer, because that means you're in the fight. You're in the battle of resisting temptation and trying to live righteously and resisting reviling and speaking badly and watching your tongue. So I hope you suffer. People that don't suffer just do what they want to do. And then the second thing is I hope you do it together. I hope you do it with a body of people, a brotherhood of people. Love the knucklehood. Because we're all a bunch of knuckleheads, and to do it together and humbly care for one another and have compassion and have sympathy. So that's from 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, and a tender heart and a humble mind. And today we're going to move on to verses 9 through 12. And this is a big quote from Psalm 34. Do not repay evil for evil or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, bless. For to this you were called, that you may obtain a blessing. Well, who doesn't want a blessing? I want a blessing. I love a blessing. So we're going to find out what kind of a blessing from Psalm 134. Here's Psalm 134, verses 12 through 16, quoted here. Verse 10. Whoever desires to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking conceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So the third thing is, after the first thing is, I hope you suffer. The second is, I hope you do it together and love the brotherhood. The third thing is, I hope the Lord is near. And I get that from the verses that are just after this in Psalm 34, not 134. And that is verse 17 says, when the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their trouble. Well, isn't that a great verse? Deliver from all his trouble? Deliver you from anything that bad that happens? This makes me think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel chapter 3, where King Nebuchadnezzar makes this image of gold and says you got to worship it, and they say no. And he says, but if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? And they say no, and if this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image you have set up. Now, don't we just love this story? Because this is actually one of the times where they are delivered, literally delivered from all their troubles. So we all agree that the Lord is capable and sometimes does deliver out of trouble. Sometimes justice is actually done. Sometimes evil is squashed. Sometimes the cancer goes away. Sometimes God delivers us from evil and our finally furnace. But that's actually the exception in my experience, at least. That when the Lord does not deliver us from evil. And that's what I want to talk about today. What happens right now when we are not delivered from evil? Good example. Hey, Jesus, he suffered, he was crucified, he was reviled, he was mocked. Evil was done against him. So when the Lord does not now deliver us from evil, what happens? The answer is he delivers himself. That's verse 18 from Psalm 34. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saved the crushed in spirit. So he delivers. The Lord gives us a bunch of things in our troubles. He gives us his experience. Hey, Jesus left us as an example. He gives us his help when it's hard, when we're suffering, when we're fearful, when we're in difficult times of submission and evil. He gives us his attention. Listen to what the verse says in 1 Peter, quoting Psalm 34. He gives the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous. The ears are open to their prayer, and the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So his eyes are on the righteous. His ears are open to his prayer. The face of the Lord is against. And then he gives us his nearness. Verse 18 of Psalm 34. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. He gives us his nearness. So what happens when God does not deliver us from circumstances of evil? He gives us the blessing. Verse 9 talks about that. You may obtain a blessing. Well, what is that blessing? How is it that the Lord prospers us now amidst evil and opposition and suffering and fear and enduring and unjustness? And what is the blessing? Well, it's his eyes, it's his ears, it's his face, and it's his nearness. We're called to bless those who are reviling us, that we obtain a blessing. What is the blessing I get? Well, it's the Lord. It's his eyes, it's his ears, his attention, it's his face. And it's occasionally his deliverance out of things, but generally difficult diagnoses and difficult marriage and unjust situation and bad circumstances at work, they're to be lived through with the presence of the God. Probably most of the time, here's what we get. We get the Lord's nearness. We get the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. We get the salvation of those who are crushed in spirit. So my prayer today as we conclude is, I pray that you suffer. I pray that you suffer together in the knucklehood. I pray that you, amidst your suffering of evil and opposition and fearfulness and enduring, I pray that you're brokenhearted. I pray that you're crushed in spirit. I pray that there are circumstances where you turn to him, that you pray, that you listen to him. And then the big news here today, the big conclusion is, I pray that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and that he saves the crushed in spirit. We'll hear more about it tomorrow. Come back then. Thanks for listening.